Earlier this year, we have cleared an area of land and piled up a lot of brush and small branches that we intended to burn. It was now time to finally burn those piles. It took a while for the fire to get going, but once it got going, it was doing its job. In the meantime, we started to build a picnic table. If you recall, we milled our trial logs last time, and we used that wood to build a picnic table.
This feels dangerous.
We looked up a rough sketch of a design, which was saved to our phones. But we have no reception on the property once we're at the property. And we're gonna run into a couple of issues.
So basically the crossbar at the top is basically the width of your table. Get two sides like this so that the top squared off kind of when.
And by squared off, I meant an A.
Connect them so that in between the bottom, somewhere, how high up the ground is the bottom?
That was issue number one. We did not really remember or know the standard height of seats and the standard heights of tables. So we just reverted to old-fashioned trial and error engineering.
What are those, Daddy?
Nails.
Okay, now lift it up. Okay, pretend you're sitting on the bench here. And that's the tabletop. How? Oh, it's way too high even for you.
Well, come sit next opposite of me.
Yeah, this is not, that's way too high.
Okay. So what do you want to do?
This needs to go way up,
Okay.
like significantly way up.
Like is that? Okay. All right.
Like here.
Ow.
In the meantime, our first brush pile was almost gone. So after a couple of tests, we agreed on the height and we decided this would be our sides.
You just have to put like.
Yeah, we'll cut a little off the bottom.
This is quality control, checking our measurements. The next morning, we were finishing up the sides of the future table. According to the plan we had, these benches were about 10 inches deep. In retrospect, probably make them a little wider.
Well, first we're gonna put the top on and the seats on, and then we'll figure out.
We also got some reception the previous night, and we looked up if the standard height of the bench or the seat of the table is about 19 inches, and then the tabletop is about 30. We actually were very, very close in our trial and error approach.
For what we're doing, it's close enough.
Now it was assembly time, starting with the tabletop.
Okay, give me another one. Do you want to put a seat on instead?
And now the seat.
Just use the whole thing. You just measure 6 inches here.
Hold on, Layla, it's not done yet.
And yes, we know these planks are not thick enough for a bench. They're gonna bend, and we will reinforce them once we get a little bit more wood milled.
You want to do the seat on the other side?
We had a couple of very impatient customers who couldn't wait for the table to be finished.
Most expensive picnic table ever.
I mean, if these are the last logs you'll ever mill on that saw, then that's true.
Right now, between our opportunity cost, the cost of the mill, this is the most expensive picnic table ever.
Daddy.
That might change over time, but right now.
Daddy, we did not even buy this.
That's the concept of fixed costs versus variable costs.
The first pile burnt down and turned all to ashes, and it was time to get started on the second pile. And this is me remembering the basics of geometry and mapping out the angles for the legs so it would sit flat on the ground. Power tools ruin you forever. This would have been a 2-second job on a miter saw.
Now I can go down.
How is that?
But here you go, the most expensive picnic table ever. Our customers approved. And here's another satisfying fire. Enjoy. Coming up, do we also set our sawmill on fire? Subscribe and find out.